I think we're going to begin. I just wanted to welcome all of you to this special occasion. And Gail is a wonderful poet whose work I've admired for a very long time. And she's a good, solid citizen of this place we call Cambridge. She was born here, in Smith College. That's the only beef I have with her, because we have this little rivalry between Wellesley and Slade. I didn't go there.
I'm not invested.
I'm Grolier and all that stuff. You know, a friend of mine said, well, yeah, you went to Mount Holyoke, spend your 4 years, you went to the wrong school. And she said, you spent your life at the wrong school. She says to me, wonderful. Anyway, she's a great, great poet. You know, she started a blacksmith reading series. That's a lot of work that went into that. We take it for granted now, And all the stuff she's done in this city over the years, group friends, because sometimes poets we kind of stay in our room and write our things and we forget the citizenship aspect of what we do. Friendship, other people writing, other books, stuff like that. So that's what I meant by being a good, solid citizen of this place. And she has about 7 books of poems. And they can't take that away from me, which was a finalist for the National Book Award. Zito's first wife, which won the Mass Book Award, and was a finalist for the LA Times Book Prize. And held fellowships the NEA, the Bunton Institute, the Radcliffe Institute, and is now a distinguished senior writer, lecturer at Emerson College, and also the committee on the Fine Arts writing program in Provincetown. Okay, and she served for many years on that committee. And this book, Forbidden City, which is the most recent one, conceived from the entries that read just a little bit of thing that Gail Mazur's poem in Forbidden City build an engaging meditative structure upon the elements of mortality and art, eloquently contemplating the relationship of art and life and the dynamic possibilities of its combination. I was married to Michael Mazur, who many of us knew, passed away in 2009. And but they also mentioned that this is a grief that is very clear-eyed, okay? Almost as if she has set her gaze like flint, okay? And as if to say that this fact of transience, it does not have power to keep, or disable the imperatives of song. There's humor, there's joy, overall singing. Move on, things change, pass on. But it just doesn't seem to have power to disable these imperatives of song, as I say. And she will read, we'll take reflections, conversations, then we'll have refreshments. And Gail, you've done a lot over there. It's good to be able to have this written. And thank you for friendships. And I knew the early years of the group not have for a long time. We know what kind of work you put into that blacksmith. Young people come to go enjoy this, but a lot of stuff went into it. They sustained, they kept reviving it, going on for how many years now. So, thank you, Gail. Thank you for your friendship, and it's good to see some more friends here too.
Coming in here in my late 20s with my friend Elsa Dorfman, who was in the middle of everything. But he said, art withers without fellowship, and it is sustaining to have a poetry community and to have the Grolier bookshop, and I suppose it was sustaining and is for people to have a weekly poetry series in Cambridge that has a great range of readers reading. So I'm glad to see you here. I would with or without you. And I'm going to read a few poems from the book and a couple of new ones, just because I feel risky. It's a way of dealing with the loss of one of the liveliest people anybody here who knows him has ever known. So it was important to me not to grieve. And once, years ago, when I had nothing to grieve, I had somebody actually who took some poems, rejected the others and said they're altogether too mild and mournful, and it's like it is sort of etched into my brain to avoid mild mournfulness. Sort of witty and lively. And so I sort of forgave him, but it terrified me to have somebody say that about my work. Forbidden City. Asleep until noon. I'm dreaming you've been granted another year. You're here with me, healthy. Then half awake, the half true. This is our last day. Life's leaping away again, and this time we know it. Dear body, I hold you, pleading. Don't leave. But I understand you can't say anything. Who are we? Are we fictional? We don't look like our pictures, don't look like anyone I know. Daylight flickers through a bamboo grove. We approach the Forbidden City, looking together for the hall of fulfilling original wishes. Time is the treasure, you tell me, and the past is its hiding place. I instruct our fictional children, the past is the treasure, time is its hiding place. If we told him how much we love him, how much we miss him, he could stay. But now you've taken me back to Loyang, to the garden of solitary joy, over 1,000 years old. I wait, I hold your hand, you let me go. Linen-bound books that close with looped ribbons and faux ivory clasps. Decades later, we gaped at Fuji from a window of Japan Air and gasped together at Narita, a park so immaculate, white rocks gleamed graphic in a river of gravel. Later still, you'd move between the floating worlds of ukiyo-e woodcuts and Chinese landscapes, whose surfaces entered you as if it had been faded. A draftsman's draftsman, Hokusai at 70 thought he'd begun to grasp the structures of birds and beasts, insects and fish, of the way plants grow. Hoped that by 90, he'd have penetrated to their essential nature. And more, by 100, I will have reached the stage where every dot, every mark I make will be alive. You always loved that resolve. You repeat joyfully. Hokusai's utterance of fate and work's possibilities, its reward. And at 130, my studio. A garage we called Garagio, 10 by 22 with a peaked roof. You painted the plywood floor sky blue with a long-handled roller from Land's End True Value. With the ceiling fan, a mild breeze always blew, that when the tide was in, the wind would do. My desks, 2 flush doors you painted white on wrought iron stands, solid and true. Homoso walls you painted white too, and 7 small windows, all new, that opened and closed. I hung bamboo shades to block the bay view, distracting for me as it was for you. Its marine cliches, its colorful hullabaloos. Then I push-pinned my old poster of Van Gogh's room at Arles, butter yellow, poppy red, cool blues, and a photo of Elvis the Jew. Not really a Jew, but a Shabbos Goy, who Saturdays, as a nice Memphis boy, lit gas pilots for his frum neighbors and opened their flues. When he died, the Rebbitzin broke down and wept. It's true. 3 a crumpled snapshot, 3 inches square of your father. poolside, jaunty in a blue swimsuit, his straw fedora at a rakish angle, carrying 2 splashing cups of bika to your mother, beaming, gallant, canned, grinning for her camera. That was in Portugal, in Sintra, the village Byron called most beautiful in the world. In the old cracked photo, part of his naked chest had flaked away under the glossy surface, an ashen patch. 40 years later, at your desk, filial, in a fantasy of surgery, you worked your laptop to repair the wound, dragging pixels of skin tone, of mortal coloration, from his right side to his left. A new skill mastered, new language, new tools that restored but couldn't save. I watched you transplant luscious skin, a tender ministry, your digital touch lighter than a kiss, not unlike a kiss, exactly where his heart 4 decades earlier began to falter, as yours invisibly did now. One of those days, we both still thought that somehow with the proper tools, there was nothing you couldn't fix. And chortling at the faux pas of long-gone friends, the snow accumulating in gentle accumulations, and we gleefully talking this Sunday morning away, together again after a long time apart, and now the black lyrical tree limbs are outlined in snow, pristine and marvelous, nature's graphic art, black and white, limbs you loved to draw, and you still not here. Though yes, today the snow is a marvel, falling so peacefully. This snow that isn't, will never be the snow of yesteryear. By Borges, the great Argentinian poet called the Borges. And I think Borges was very much wanted to have his own valiant history on the past. You know, he wanted to have been an adventurous person, and he was blind. I don't know, had he not gone blind, he was a poet from the beginning, really. Genealogy. Of my ancestors, I know little, and to try tracing them now would be absurd. Their surnames reinvented, mangled at every gate. Was there among their number era? Pruning a low-growing red rose he called Europeana. Each summer a new project, dear labor, digging, replanting, weeding, terracing, taming the sandy slope. Still, always beneath it, the lively, indomitable dune. Mornings, afternoons, dusk, the shrill cries of seagulls. Moonlight, prehistoric. I watched as if to osmose, to take in the flame of concentration, as if I'd learned how it was to be lost myself in a saving task. But you can't choose or what claims you. Though sometimes it seemed he'd live forever, each tier of seedlings, T-I-E-R, of seedlings, a stanza he'd go on and on revising. It was only that 1 century, 10 little decades, 10 decades, 10 worlds of change, of fabrication and horror, 10 worlds he never tired of. The garden's gone now, the lilies, the anemones, the gardener, a tiny body in a cemetery spidgeting sand by the white eroded markers of Yankee sea captains and Azorian fishermen. I'd always thought there was no weight to him, no guilt or sorrow. He was an ethereal spirit that ambition had finally cast him off, stranded him, as if he lacked the heft of a neutrino and was moving faster than the speed of light, all worldliness subsumed. Some people have an appetite for grief, Emerson wrote, and years ago reading that I thought, not me. No, I knew what he meant. I'd known people who default to it, people married to woe, dumbfounded by any sort of merriment. Still, I thought our venerable sage judged some people harshly from his conquered manse, where character meant transcending the insane pull he'd known when, widowed young, he nearly died of grief, of rending rage. Life is totally about losing everything. For a fighter, a violent man, that's knowledge hard-earned, whose things were bulwark against self-loathing and despair. It's clear he knows now things can't be enough. I don't care what Tyson knows, or don't know why I care. Does his abrasive, cleansing knowledge touch me? Yes. Or is it its devastating articulation? Living on here, I have what I have, an acceptance of loss that disappears in dreams, in excruciating replays of a life draining away. These visitations, like falling trees, unsummoned come. My night, a crushing yesterday, the lit bedlight, won't erase or wish away. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thanks. She's willing to take some questions. Okay, and I have some you know, I had a question.
It's always a relief.
This long life with Michael and the intersection of the poetry and the legal life, that's his thing. But that life, lived in intimate space with that, and the things we sometimes hear that maybe what the poet does, it's actually closer to what the painter and the sculptor does than it is to what the prose writer does. And I didn't know how that all worked out. That it would have made this claim that the referential functions of words in a prose space one-on-one, there's transparency. Whereas with poetry, because of the sound and the music, the opaqueness of it, you don't have the same kind of one-on-one transparency in reference. You see that's how the words cancel each other out or elevate each other. That's what the poet is tuned into doing, And I didn't know whether you thought about this, that life lived in intimate space with Michael and the heart, and then of course the planted thing that illustrated in Robert's translation. So that's this life inside there that's very, very intimate. There's all these big things coming to Cambridge now. And you kind of begin to lose the sense of this place, the thing that made us happy when we got here 40 years ago. Yeah. So it's good to hear these poems, really. It celebrates what people we know, what we're missing too. But anyway, just this art, the visual arts, you have. So I don't maybe life of Michael and the cars.
It's a strange issue because Mike used to make those comparisons all the time, and I would say it's not, it's not this. They're not equivalents. They're not equivalents, and I think a lot of poets I know who knew him, and not anyone in this room necessarily, were sort of felt the difference between the physicality of his relationship to his work and sort of envied it even, or were in awe of it, that it was sort of muscular. And I know some beloved poets whose poetry is muscular, but I don't necessarily see that as coming together. Maybe it's a guy thing to want it to come together. I don't know. But I think it's more for me personally that I got married when I was 20 and Mike was 22. So I really grew up with somebody who had incredibly passionate aesthetic taste and, And certainly in sort of in late youth, beauty had actually become like a pejorative in the world of art. And I suppose in some ways also that in some kinds of poetry. I just because our work habits were so entirely different, like he had work habits. Convincing case for poetry and jazz. You know, but on the other hand, you could say art itself, you know, art in the huge umbrella of the word, you know. Oh, sure.
Because it's sort of connected to what
Right. Right. I mean, this sort of comes from living with art, living with an artist. This is really little. That's why Lloyd said he wasn't putting it down.
No, I think it's a great poem. So.
No, I know. And it's just called Philip Guston. And if most of you know who Philip Guston was, and he's on the cover of David Rivard's new book, so you can get an idea right there. Everything, he said, has a form. Even doubt has a form, he said, walking away from class. Painting students all puzzlement at their easels, left there with a week to wonder. Class over, but he's still teaching. On Com Ave, a blue parked truck, red lettering. Look at that, he said. Yeah, thanks, Lloyd. That was a better answer than mine. Autobiographic.
I'm just wondering, so now how is your life like every day? Like how do you do your writing and how you doing? Just how you doing?
Oh, how am I doing?
Everyday life. Like.
Oh, what is everyday life like? It's different every day. It's strange, you know. You think it would be monotonous. I do have. It's not that I have awful work habits, which I do, but that I write in spurts and then work compulsively on what I've written. So that's what I can, and I think in a way I need it more than I ever did. You know, I need to be doing it. And I have more to juggle than I had when Mike was alive, actually. Because I have his legacy to juggle, to try to.
Like this very well, but the humor runs really deep. It's deeply embedded in the emotions of the poem, and I don't know if this is an answerable question, but I'm wondering about the way humor occurs in your composition process. Like, is it moments of relief as your mind?
It's also impulsive and out of control sometimes. I mean, one of the things that made me very comfortable with it, particularly in this last book, though I've always been comfortable with it, is that when people die, even that day that even the most bereaved can be making each other laugh. You know, it's part of the way we're constructed, at least my people. I mean, you know, you see people, you wonder if you see them like in a video or something, you think, how can that person be laughing? You know, but we have this sort of one of the life-sustaining things that we have. And to me, it was really important, like in a way, my studio, that poem is kind of like that. Tom Slay called it my Sylvia Plath poem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because of the ooh. And I thought, it's not really a do not do, daddy. You know, it's not like that. But I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. But I was so relieved when those poems started to come to me. You know, that I could write about somebody taking an inventory of our stuff and have it be absurd.
sore hand. It's
Yeah, sure.
questions.
Well, I read my Borges.
I was wondering too, because given this varied nature of this intense of an artistic community, was that which also I think is probably part of the inspiration that one might have just going around Cambridge and feeling the pulse of
The
things.
end of rent control is what it was.
And there's so much going on and all this, that they got this Panera comes, 3 months it's gone, another one is coming in. So the square thing, Roy did an article some years ago, a 40-year retrospective on what has closed in Harvard Square. It's astounding. But once you see together in this essay, then you begin to realize what we've actually lost.
I worked at the Grolier. I mean, the McKittys have been heroic, and we owe them a debt of gratitude.
Yeah, we did.
And we owe them to buy books here.
Singers, writers are very involved, so that if they really like a candidate, they'll do a painting, they'll do a song. The other day, I had a thought of thinking, well, I think that if Hillary wants to speak to the Mexican people, to the Spanish people, she doesn't need to do it with policy speeches. All she has to do is get an artist to compose a song, just to sing that song. And actually she did. There's a well-known Mexican ranchera singer, Vicente Fernandez, and he composed one saying, vote for Hillary. That's a single message. Don't poets do the same thing? Vote now for whoever. So that just because I don't think that you are that good at ringing bells, but I think you'll be quite good at writing lines, and you only have 4 weeks.
You're commissioning a poem.
The sort of, for one thing, a lot of the anguish in other countries that have, where the poets, so little is allowed that the poet's voice is really powerful. We live in a very strange time. I think a lot of people are writing political poems. I mean, for me personally, and probably, every once in a while you can do it. The fear of being rhetorical and cliche is really hard. So I wouldn't think in terms of writing a song just because who would sing? I mean, I think that it's interesting that you say it's a Mexican poet who did it because
When I was little, I think I was.
Because we could be activists, because the writing has to come from a wellspring of what you need to write. And I find, for instance, in my anguish over this situation, that I don't think I have a thought that isn't a cliche. I don't, so, registering people to vote, I would rather be a citizen. I used to say I would do this anymore, but I would like to stuff envelopes,
But that's a waste.
because
That's
I
a
don't
waste.
have.
And that's the public humor.
Right. Well, I think that, that's sort of it. It's funny because it reminds me of Charlie Hebdo in a way.
The heart has to be there. So whatever it is that then, for now long, that's what something got to happen inside. And when it does, then the movement of the poem begins. And I guess it's important that poets get engaged, but somehow the problem is just, otherwise it becomes so formulaic, and they don't want that either. Yeah. So anyway, it's a very, very important issue. The nation is in difficulty. One of the questions I actually wanted to ask is the collaboration between Michael in terms of the time taking and the illustrations. I don't know if you say something like, you have
illustrations of a version of Inferno that I did. A poem full of forgotten politics.
Yeah, right.
and for very passionate politics.
Well,
The
by-
white Celts and the black Celts.
But those circles still
And-
exist.
And Mike, Gail said she knew one of the most alive persons who ever lived. And Mike was very active in all things. He made sets. He once, I don't think he'd done much book illustration before. So at Forest Rouse,
People in the arts with different skills, and we did a lot of stuff, but it was. I don't see that happening. And it was at the same time that in New York there was the Angry Arts movement. I think that the social network has changed a lot of that.
Yeah.
Okay, but we should
I was going to say, in '68, I was publishing an underground newspaper, and we had in it articles, and then we had poems and stories and everything too. We did that, and that's how we were active as artists.
Yeah, well, so many things aren't here, like the papers like the Phoenix and the Real paper that started in that time. And the Village Voice is dead. You know, I mean, it's not just the poets and artists who don't know what to do, And I think. I think there's more activism of every level around the issues of race now than about this election, and the sort of the need to sort of make that part of the election is is pragmatic in a way. I can't say more.
People should know that the 3 books that you have that are for sale each has a cover by Mike Mazur.
I wondered if
Right, all my books except the first book, which didn't have an illustrated cover. So this is a monotype photo engraving, and it's not part of the Inferno, and it's not part of the Fleur de Mal, which she also illustrated. But you would know if you saw this and you knew Robert's translation, you would guess that this was Mike's, don't you think?
One last thing I wanted to say is that when you listen to Gail read, there's something kind of very authentic about poetry. Think about the politician who wants to get elected. He knows what he's supposed to be saying. So he delivers this stuff so that people think, I really love nature, I love my family, I love people. It won't come true. There's something about the authenticity of poetry that when it is delivered and it is good, you know it's coming from a real place. The politician can never practice enough to get it done so that you can think of somebody who loves my wife or loves my husband or loves nature or loves people. It just doesn't work.
But
The translation doesn't happen.
But during the Kennedy era, they were quoting poetry all the time. I mean, it's just not on the menu.
On the menu, but I mean, I'm just thinking about the poet that composes a poem that really hits you. Okay, there's something that you know that the trajectory from the